In this video, I'm going to go to solve some of the problems you posted online. The first question is that the hypotenuse of a right isosceles triangle is 44 centimeters long. Determine the exact area of the triangle. To do that one, remember that the isosceles triangle, two sides are equal. Since hypotenuse is the longest side, this means that the two legs, they have to be equal, meaning this and this are equal, and this is 90 degrees. Now we know the hypotenuse is 44. Let's say this is x, this is x. Then we know by Pythagorean theorem, x squared plus x squared is equal to 44 squared. So 2x squared is equal to 44 squared, or x squared is 44 squared divided by 2, or x, if you simplify this one, we are going to get 44 divided by square root of 2. If you take the square root of both sides here, square root of 44 squared is 44, and square root of 2 is square root of 2. The next question says, to support a new 5.4 meter wall, let's say this is the wall, this is 5.4 meter. The carpenters nail a piece of wood from the top of the wall to the floor. So let's say this is the wood and this is 90 degrees. The piece of wood is nailed to the ground such that it makes a 45-degree angle. So this is 45. We are supposed to find the exact length of the piece of wood, meaning this is x, which is our hypotenuse. To do that one, I'm going to use the trig ratios. I'm going to say sine 45 is equal to opposite side, which is 5.4, divided by hypotenuse, which is x. Now I'm going to cross multiply. I get x sine 45. 45 is equal to 5.4 times 1 is 5.4. So x is equal to 5.4 divided by sine 45. But sine 45 is square root of 2 over 2, so x is equal to 5.4 divided by square root of 2 over 2. This is the same as 5.4 times 2 divided by square root of 2, which is equal to 10.8 divided by square root of 2. This is the exact answer. So do not try to use your calculator. Just leave it the way it is. The next question says that Ishmita and Arshdeep are walking in a walkathon down a straight street that leads to the finish line. At the same time, they both notice a hot air balloon directly over the finish line. Let's say this is the finish line is this one, and then the balloon is right here, right on top. Ishmita sees that the angle from the ground to the balloon is 30 degrees. So let's say Ishmita is I is here. So this angle is going to be 30 degrees. Arshdeep, who is 0.28 kilometers closer to finish line, let's say here is Arshdeep, I call it A, sees the angle of elevation to be 45 degrees, and remember that Arshdeep is 0.28 kilometers closer, so this distance is 0.28. determine the exact height of the balloon. Let's say this is the height of the balloon. You have to find h. Let's call this distance from arch tip to the base here with the finish line to be x. Then I can say that tan 45 is equal to opposite over adjacent, which is h over x. Now I'm going to look at this triangle. I'm going to say tan 30 is equal to h over the adjacent is this side, which is x plus 0.28. From the first one, I can get that h is x tan 45. But remember, tan 45 is sine 45 over cos 45. Sine 45 is square root of 2 over 2. Cos 45 is square root of 2 over 2. So tan 45 is 1. So this means that h is equal to x. This means that this triangle is a right isosceles triangle. The next one, I have this equation here. Tan 30 is h over x plus 0.28. But tan 30 is sine 30 over cos 30. Sine 30 is 1 over 2. Cos 30 is square root of 3 over 2. If you cross out 2, you get tan 30 is 1 over square root of 3, which is square root of 3 over 3. You may wonder, how did I get 1 over square root of 3 equal to square root of 3 over 3? The reason is very simple. 1 over square root of 3, I can multiply numerator and denominator by square root of 3, which is the same as 1. 1 times square root of 3 is square root of 3. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3, which is exactly what I said here. So this is equal to square root of 3 over 3. Now cross multiply, I'm going to get 3h is square root of 3 times x plus 0.28. Now, from here, I can distribute square root of 3 inside, so I get 3h is x square root of 3 plus 0.28 square root of 3. I move this to the left, I get x square root of 3 is equal to 3h minus 0.28 square root of 3. Then divide everything by square root of 3. I get x is equal to 3h minus 0.28 square root of 3 over square root of 3. So this is my x from this equation, and also I have x from this equation. So I can replace x here with h, because here h is equal to x. So I get h is equal to 3h minus 0.28 square root of 3 over square root of 3. If I cross multiply, I get 3h minus 0.28 square root of 3 equal to square root of 3h. Now I can move square root of 3h to the left and negative 0.28 square root of 3 to the right, so I get 3h minus square root of 3h is equal to 0.28 square root of 3. Now factor h out, so 3 minus square root of 3 is 0.28 square root of 3. Divide both sides by 3 minus square root of 3, 3 minus square root of 3. This cancels with this one, so from here I get h is 0.28 square root of 3 divided by 3 minus square root of 3. One thing you have to remember, later on you will see that we try not to have square root in the denominator. But if you see here, we have 3 minus square root of 3. So somehow we have to get rid of the square root. To do that one, we are going to use the conjugate. The conjugate of 3 minus square root of 3 is 3 plus square root of 3. Remember the difference of squares. A squared minus b squared is a minus b times a plus b. If a is 3, if b is square root of 3, then we have a minus b. If I multiply it by a plus b, meaning if I write this one as 0.28 square root of 3, 3 plus square root of 3, and then divided by 3 minus square root of 3, and 3 plus square root of 3, because I multiply by the same bracket, nothing changes. But if you look at the denominator, now I have a minus b. If a is 3, square root of 3 is b. A minus b times a plus b. I can use this formula. So I can write this fraction that I have here as h is equal to 0.28 square root of 3, open bracket 3 plus square root of 3 divided by a squared minus b squared. So 3 squared is 9 minus b squared. B is square root of 3. Squared is 3. So this is the same as 0.28 square root of 3, 3 plus square root of 3 divided by 6. Again, this is exactly like this one. The only difference is that now you don't have any square root in the denominator. This is very important. You use the conjugate. For instance, if you have 2 over square root of 5, I told you we don't leave square root in the denominator. You have to get rid of square root of 5. To get rid of square root of 5, you use the conjugate of square root of 5. This is the simplest one. I just multiply by square root of 5, divide by square root of 5. Again, this is 1, so nothing is changed, but square root of 5 times square root of 5 is 5, and then you get 2 square root of 5. This is how you get rid of just one square root. If you have if you have a square root like this one, which you are subtracting square root of 3 from 3, you just multiply it by the conjugate. The conjugate of 3 minus square root of 3 is 3 plus square root of 3. So you multiply numerator and denominator by the same factor.